Welcome to the Dominance Academy, where we specialize in revitalizing manhood and leadership. Our approach focuses on developing men to lead with strength and passion, enriching their lives and their families. We provide practical solutions and expert guidance in the realms of sexual education and the mysteries behind polarity and structured power dynamics. Join us at thedominanceacademy.com and restore harmony to your home while rediscovering the joy of a fulfilling masculine presence. It's time to step into your role as a leader and as a man. And now, the host of the show, Mr. Justin.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Dominance Academy, and I'm your host, Mr. Justin. And tonight we've got a little show about seeking her mind and not her pussy. This is something that recurs over and over and over, and actually not just in the short term where I'm talking to guys and I have to remind them of this sort of thing. This is actually something that you will face time and again in your relationships, in your dating experiences, and things of that nature. It's literally the backbone subject of tons of my consultations. Like, it really stems down to this core issue. And I don't really even know where it comes from. Maybe it's just biological. That's just kind of, where we are, how we are as guys. But yeah, we're going to get into that tonight. What's up, King Soul of Power? Appreciate you guys who are here listening in. So yeah, we're going to get into some stuff. Hope you guys are having a productive Monday. I spent my day writing. I'm writing a book on how to be a fantastic lover. So it's going to be like the sexuality part of my coaching, but just kind of condensed into a readable format. So, and that's going to be for sale. I'm going to shoot I want to say maybe end of June, maybe the end of June. That's going to be going on. What's up, Wicked Scorpion? Yeah, so that's going to be happening, I think, by the end of June. That's going to be up on the website for sale. And and then after that, I'm going to be doing some tutorials, some video tutorials with my girlfriend, like BDSM basics, like how to use certain tools, how to use certain toys, how to properly give a spanking. Holy shit, dude. I don't know if you guys can hear the sirens, but I apologize. It's like they're driving right by my place. But yeah, so that was distracted for me if you guys didn't hear that. But yeah, so we're gonna have some tutorials how to give proper spankings. There really is a method. There is an effective method for giving spankings. We'll show the two different types of spankings that you can do, different body positions for her. What's comfortable for you as the spanker, and how you can and can't use certain things. Like, for example, if you know what a flogger is, it's like that. It's that long handle, usually wrapped in leather, and then it has long tassels, right? It's really hard to use that if you've got her bent over your knees, right? Because you need a little bit of distance to use that effectively. So, things of that nature. So we'll get into that stuff, proper manhandling, choking, slapping, spanking, how to use certain sensory tools. So that should be fun. It's nice fun tutorial, and she's excited about that. And I was also thinking about doing a massage video and showing two different types of massage. So I was thinking about making a video for therapeutic massage, because I was trained in the temple, how to use massage for healing. And it's interesting that the pressure points on the body that are designed for pain and destruction are the same ones used for healing and pleasure. So it's just interesting how that works out. But yeah, I was thinking about going through and doing a two-part massage series of showing how to do a therapeutic massage so that you can actually improve the health of your submissive or your woman, and then have another massage series showing more erotic stuff where it's just purely pleasure and sensory, no like deep tissue or pressure points or anything like that. So yeah, so there's a lot on the docket. So yeah, we're here. We're chopping it up about seeking her mind and not her pussy. And I appreciate you guys coming through. If you find value in watching this show, I encourage you to get in touch with me at justin@thedominanceacademy.com for any questions. Please check out the website and the things that I have available for you at thedominanceacademy.com. So what's this business about her mind and not her pussy? Like, why is that a thing, And because the way I see the mindset of particularly younger guys, they're very much with this mindset that if you just look good, that's really all you need, right? That's really all you need in order to spark the emotions within a woman. And you got to understand, I don't know how to stress this enough, but a woman's imagination is the most powerful thing that she has. It's more powerful than any part of her sexuality. It's her imagination. And so when she sees an attractive guy, all right, like let's say she sees an attractive guy across the way, he's in the park, he's eating his lunch or whatever, she's eating her lunch. She will go off, like if she likes the way he looks, she will go off into this whole tangent in her head. Who knows where it'll go? Maybe it'll be something sexual. Maybe it'll be something romantic. Maybe it'll be something future bound where she's imagining herself as his wife or something along those lines. It can go anywhere. And the guy will think, or say there's like a third party there, and he's like, oh, she likes him. And then he looks at the guy, notices that he's well put together, he's handsome, he's tall or whatever, and he starts thinking, okay, she's attracted to him because of what I see as what I think is attractive in men. Not saying you're gay or anything like that, but just knowing like, okay, a tall, fit, good-looking guy is going to be more attractive than like a short, fat Quasimodo, all right? So he's thinking, okay, she's attracted to him because he has these things that I recognize as being, of having high aesthetic value. All right. And it's only like partially true. Okay. Because obviously if he wasn't good looking, she wouldn't bother looking at him. Right. She'd just kind of glance up, see he's a Quasimodo, and then just go back to her lunch. Okay. So there is some merit to physical appearance. Okay. And that guy just so happens to be a certain type to just spark her imagination for that moment. And who knows, she goes back to work and he just disappears into the ether and she never thinks about him ever again. Okay. So what's important to point out is what's happening inside her mind. It's not his looks that are making her feel this way. The looks trigger the thing, but really it's her emotions. It's what she does with that initial triggering. And this is nothing that he's doing. Like, he doesn't think like, oh, I can stir up her emotions in her imagination by my looks. It doesn't happen that way. She does this on her own. It happens without his input. He just happens to be there and is a catalyst for this to happen. And I would say that women enjoy this. Women enjoy taking themselves away from themselves, out into the world of imagination. And I can only imagine how powerful it is, because they can literally turn themselves on. They can literally bring themselves to orgasm. And I know this because I know it's possible to train a woman to have orgasm just through voice alone, without her even touching herself, with nothing touching her. So if that's possible, then she can even bring herself there. She can bring herself to arousal. All right. And now that's just talking sexuality, right? Her imagination can go in all sorts of different directions, like I had said. And so but guys just don't understand this. They think that it's just about your looks. That if you're just good looking enough, if you're strapping enough, you've got the muscle, you've got the height, or you've got the cheekbones, or whatever the fuck you guys talk about, that's enough. And that's what really should be getting her moving and getting her interested in you. And really, it's just there to kind of gain someone's attention. I don't know if you guys have been out, like you've been out at bars talking to like a number of women throughout the evening, and you're bound to come across women who are attractive. But then when you start talking to them, you're like, man, this lady, she's just a total dud. Like, she has no personality whatsoever. Or, oh my God, her laugh is so fucking annoying. And you just want to excuse yourself as quickly but gently as possible. I've been in these situations. I'm sure some of you guys have been in these situations before as well. Women are in these situations all the time, but like tenfold or 100-fold, right? They're around guys a lot, and some of them are very attractive. And there's many attractive guys that she has let go, that she's bypassed, that she didn't want to continue forward with. Okay, because if it was the case of just being looks, then every woman would be with a very attractive man. It's not that. That's not what makes a man attractive or unattractive. It's really, does he have the ability to tap in? And women will just say, a man who just gets it. Okay, and I have actually a chapter in the book that I'm writing about why women just want a guy to just get it, okay? Because she doesn't want to have to explain to him how to do the trick. Like, that's kind of like when you're at a magic show. You kind of want to just be wrapped up into the experience of looking at this guy doing something on stage and going, holy fuck, how the hell did he do that? And you're really wrapped up and immersed into the experience. And then if someone like leans over and is like, oh, well, blah, 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 and he explains what's actually happening, it ruins the magic. It ruins the flow of the experience. And in the same way, a woman doesn't want to have to explain to you how to do these things, because now you're just kind of following a playbook, and it takes away the natural magic. Women want it to just happen. They want to be just wrapped up in something and lose control. They don't want to be the author of their story. They want to be a character. They want to be the main character in their story, not the author. And so this can only come about through someone who just gets it. They get how to be the author of a story that involves her. And what this does, especially when it's related to sexuality, is it takes the burden off of them. Okay, because as much as many guys have the what's it called, the Madonna whore complex, women have a similar concept in their mind, in the sense that they want to be the cute girl, right, who's nice and Madonna-like, and they also want to be seen as a sexual desirable object that a man wants to consume, right? So she wants both. But if she has, it's weird because it's like a love-hate relationship with both sides, because it's like they're both beneficial. But if you do too much, if she does too much on one side or the other, then it brings her down, right? If she's too much of the Madonna, then she's not very desirable. She doesn't feel desirable, and she doesn't get the effects of being desirable, but from men. And if she's too much on the whore side, she feels dirty, right? She doesn't feel good. Like, if you just touch into the realm of whore, it's still sexy. But if you take it too far, then it's like, oh, this is just a gutter slut. Okay? And she doesn't want to feel like that. She doesn't want to feel like that within herself, and she doesn't want to be perceived as that. So there's this love-hate relationship with these archetypes, and probably the difficulties of the ongoing battle between balancing them out. So what alleviates them of this strain is a man who is a good author, who can write her in as both characters in varying scenarios and can bring her in and out from the good girl to the bad girl, to the good girl to the bad girl. Okay? Or sometimes mix them up so she's both at the same time. This is like, really, this is what women crave. But they just don't want to tell you how to do it. They don't want to tell you how the magic is done. They just want to experience the magic. They want to be part of the show. And the other thing that it does, like I mentioned, like sexually speaking, it takes the responsibility off of their shoulders. Because as a character in the story, they can just say, well, it just happened, right? Like if I remember, talking to younger women, they're talking about their sexual experiences, and then they're telling a story and they're like, well, I don't know. Then just like one thing led to another, and I don't know what just happened, right? As if they weren't conscious, aware beings, because by taking responsibility and having this like conscious, aware, like, yeah, I'm going to go fuck because I want to fuck. There requires a bit of maturity when it comes to their own sexual nature. And a lot of women don't have this developed. Like it really takes a very awakened person to one's nature and what drives them, and dealing with their own sense of guilt and shame and all this stuff and their own conditioning, where you really come across a woman who's very grounded in their own sexuality, where they don't have to deal with these things. They can be sexually assertive and not act or feel like a whore. Okay? These are rare. These people are rare. Most women are going to have some element of guilt and shame involved, and they don't want to perceive themselves as a whore. So they like to be in situations, whether it's natural or concocted, that takes them out of being responsible. They can just say one thing led to another, and it just happened. His dick just landed in my mouth. I don't know. So, what's up, Kevin Isn't Seven? Good to see you, man. So yeah, and I don't know. You could call this cowardice. You could call this weak, but I don't know. I just accept it for what it is. I accept women as they are. If they end up changing or developing or maturing or whatever, then so be it. Okay. The women that I've experienced, that like just personally in my life, that have had that very balanced, grounded attitude towards their own sexuality, have been women who have had a lot of experience, a lot of sexual experience, and have, I guess, just come to terms with themselves. And it just so happens that they had more of a spiritual bend to their whole perspective. So kind of like the Tantra people, all right? Tantras, hippies, like that sort of whole vein of, free love and that sort of thing. Like they're not gonna, like the women that I've experienced, they did not feel shame and guilt around their sexuality, that they were comfortable with. And so there was no hiding, but there also was no this like outward aggressive hunger, right? Just everything kind of just simmered down and was relaxed about it. So, but like I said, for the most part, that's not where you're going to experience out here. So just understand that part about the guilt and the shame and, not wanting to have themselves perceived in a certain way. Okay. So with that understanding, this is how you could picture them, okay? You picture them from the neck up, right? Because, like, frankly, this is where their highest value is. Guys will say, and I can always tell your level of experience. If you're like, a woman's value has to do with her, her reproductive system, and yes, I guess biologically speaking, if that's only your angle, then yes, you're correct. Okay. Like, like a young woman who's never had children, if you're just looking at it as from that perspective, sure, that's very valuable. But, for guys like myself, and there's many of us out here who are not interested in having children or more children, and we just want to, be with a woman or be with women in relationships or sexual relations or what have you. The value really is from the neck up, right? Because once they're tapped in from the neck up, everything else just falls into play. Like, you really don't have to guide their body much once you start guiding their mind. And it was yeah, and you can just have so much fun with it, especially if there's you've got something going on, but depends on your dynamic. So the other day, I was doing some work, and my girl was like, I'm gonna go out, just meet up with my friends. I think it was like one of her friends was having like a birthday dinner or something like that. I think maybe Mother's Day. Maybe it was a thing for Mother's Day. But she and her girls got together. They had some dinner, wine. There was a new baby to show off and all that shit. I stayed at home. I was doing some work, and like hours had passed. And like, did I truly give a shit? No. Okay. But I was like, oh, this is an opportunity. And I was like, you've been gone a long fucking time. And I was like very serious in my messaging. I was like, you were gone for a long time. This is, you didn't communicate this to me. And I promised that I'd be giving you an orgasm later, but that's not going to happen until you're punished first. And that right there just completely shifted the tone. So now this has started shifting her mind where she is, which was like somewhere else in Brooklyn. And now her mood and her mind is in this different thing. And she's playing along with me a little bit in messages, like, playfully being frightened and not really knowing what I'm up to. And then proceeding to play into that the more and more she is, coming back home. And then when we're getting together and we're in physical proximity, and then I'm able to enact this out. And it was all just done mentally. So I brought her where I wanted her to be mentally. So I basically created the stage. And then from there, I could go way deep into, say, character development. All right. So I presented that stage first, though, by saying, you're in trouble. You didn't tell me that you were going to be gone this long, and hours have passed, and now you're going to get punished. Okay. And it just so happens, like, she was feeling it. She's up for it. And she wouldn't say no anyways, but regardless. But that's just like a small example of really just valuing the neck up. And, you guys, just if you're stuck on the surface level and you're so easily led by your sexual impulse, because it's not like I don't even have to think about the sex side. Okay. Like, really, I'm now thinking about what's the pace and the structure by which I'm going to concoct this scene. What am I going to do from this step to this step? How I'm going to transition from this thing to this thing. What am I going to say? How she's going to react, or how do I suspect she's going to react? And moving through the whole thing in my head, like a director thinking about a scene. And I'm not even thinking about sex from a pleasure perspective. I'm just thinking about like what should happen, that what makes sense in the scene that I'm playing out in my mind. And so it's not even, because I'm not even like focused on the pleasure. I know that it's going to happen. So I'm not even like, it's not even there as like, ooh, yeah, we're going to have some, sexy fun times. My body's going to feel good. I'm not even thinking about that. And you might be saying, well, yeah, it's easy to say when you've got like a, good, sex-filled relationship. You don't really have to think about it, right? You're coming from a place of privilege. And I would say, I understand where you're coming from, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't apply elsewhere. Like, the truth still remains a truth, that the true value is from the neck up. And the fact that I'm not led by pleasure. If I was really led by pleasure, it would ruin everything, because I would be so happy to like just get a nut. It would ruin. It would taint the purity of what I was trying to do. because underneath it would be this drive to get physical pleasure. And, so you got to watch that stuff. You really got to watch that. And you can't have, going back to the title here, you can't have influence on her mind if you are influenced by pleasure. They really can't exist at the same time, because your desire for pleasure will likely outweigh your focus on her mental and emotional control and influence. So this is what I mean, because the impulse is so primal that it's going to override other things. So if you want to be a master of the mind, if you want to be able to master her mind, or you want to be able to, at the very least, influence her mind, you have to control your desire for physical pleasure. And just understand you're going to get it anyways. So why do you have to focus on it, right? It's not a big deal. And just in having that attitude, it's not a big deal. This makes you so much stronger. This makes you so much stronger. And then there's another layer to it, because now, what does she have over you? What does any woman have over you? Nothing. For most guys, that's typically the thing, basically her pussy is what she has over most guys. That's what she's dangling in front of you and making tons of guys just jump through crazy hoops. I mean, tons of the shit that we have in this world are because guys wanted to impress a woman for the sake of, getting in her pants. Like, if Henry Ford wasn't going to get laid, I don't know if he would have made the Ford company. I don't know. Yes. What's up here? Tom Spellings, what's up, man? First live, I'm catching your vids are really helping me remember some crucial things, especially since I'm away from women and society altogether for a month at a time due to work. Yeah, man, do your thing. And, having that space is really good sometimes. I think sometimes guys take this shit with women like way too seriously. They get too wrapped in, they get too obsessive, right? And I can understand that, if just you're having terrible circumstances out there, you're not having any dates, you haven't had sex in 2 years, something along those lines. I get it, okay, because that just increases your hunger. We want the things that we can't have, okay. And then you've got assholes like me telling you, well, once you get it, you're not going to care anyways. So that's just the irony of the game. Yep. You get laid a few times and, you really just don't care about it anymore. But however, I had an interesting conversation with a guy who, it was quite refreshing. It was a consultation that we did earlier today. And it was with a gentleman who was very much into the mental side of BDSM. And, he had I think at this point, he had a couple of subs, maybe 2 or 3. I don't remember, but he really enjoys variety. And it's not in their bodies. Like he's like me. It's like, it's almost like, yeah, the sex is fun. It's enjoyable, but their minds, their emotions, this is what's amazing. And it changes from woman to woman, and like how to navigate their minds and like finding out like what makes them tick, and where you can put anchors and latches and activators and deactivators. This is like, he was like a mental nerd as well as I am. So it was good to like kind of talk shop with this guy. And he was just really into the variety of the mind, because women, they at their core, they're the same, but the thought process on top of the core, those are different. And those are the processes by which you go through to get to the core. And it's incredibly interesting. Like if you're like a psychology geek, then yeah, you're going to enjoy this sort of thing. All right. And, just to reassure some of you guys who are watching this, if you want to be influential, you don't have to be a psychology nerd. Like, you don't have to be. You don't have to really get into the nitty gritty of wanting to influence a woman and, changing her behavior and all this sort of thing. But, he and I were both sort of reminiscing on our past, and we've had basic relationships. We've had vanilla relationships, so to speak, that were more or less not as organized. There was less influence. You just kind of like going through the motions, and it's very egalitarian, and there's really no major power exchange, right? And we're kind of reflecting on that, and being in a power exchange relationship and how much more rewarding it is. And surely there's more responsibility. There's way more things you have to think about, like on top of the regular stuff. Okay. So there's way more things that you have to consider and think about. And, but it's okay, because, the process is really what's enjoyable. And this is probably why I enjoy coaching as well, because I like watching people progress from one point to another. And then they can get to that point, even though they're not done, and they turn around and they're like, oh shit, like, look at how far I've come from when we first started all the way to where I am now. I feel completely different. I see myself different. I see the world different. And it's not drastic, but it's enough to notice a difference. And I really like seeing that. I like seeing that in the people that I work with. I enjoy seeing that with the couples that I work with. I enjoy seeing that with my woman and other women that I've been with, that I've coached. It's an enjoyable thing. And there's a point that we came across that we agreed upon, that it really isn't about the end result. It's not about the end result. And he's got guys coming to him, and, I've had guys coming to me with the same sort of thing, where they, have seen some of my messages. Sometimes I'll take some of my messages and put them up on, Instagram, or to just show them to friends or whatever. And they're like, dang, like, I want to have that, right? I want to have this woman who looks at me as someone who's like higher up and really fucking special, where she's just really looking up to me and calls me daddy or sir or my lord or my God or whatever. Okay. And they look at these ends results, these flowers that have bloomed from this tree, and they're like, I want those flowers. I want that. Right. And they'll try to make it happen. Okay. And you can't necessarily make it happen. So these guys have told their girl, if they had the courage to do so, I want you to call me daddy from now on. Okay. And it doesn't work that way. And they fall flat every single time. Every single time they come back, they're like, man, Justin, like, I wanted to do the thing. And I was like, hey, I didn't tell you to do that. That's not how I do things. Right. When there's a title shift, and it comes as that's just a result of a much deeper transformation that happens within her. And that starts with a deeper transformation that happens within you. So like, you got to start way, way, way back at the beginning of the book if you want something like that. But the thing is that when you start this journey, you no longer give a shit about that ending title. Right? Like, sure, yes, I enjoy the titles that my woman uses with me, and I enjoy the way she talks to me, like with, the level of respect and, the gratitude and the reverence and this sort of thing. I like it. Okay. I'm not saying that I don't want it in my life, but what I'm more concerned about is the processes that are needed to get there. This is where, if you want to have some, a similar life, maybe designed by you, of course, not by me, then, you have to become more process oriented. You have to be much more interested in the middle ground, okay? The start and the middle, and not really worry about the end. Only as a glance, you just kind of like glance up at the end of the road and be like, okay, are we on track? Okay, cool. And then you go back to the process. But you cannot be just fixed on that goal, be like, man, I got to get there, because then you start making shortcuts. You start tripping up over yourself. You start trying to make start making shortcuts to get there, and you get rushed, and you're just trying to make something, and it's like, well, why are you trying to push this? Why are you trying to rush this? Why are you so impatient? Okay, because in order to do this, to seek a woman's mind, because think about it, the pussy is easy. That's just fast. It's quick and dirty, right? But to grasp a woman's mind, it takes skill, it takes gentleness, it takes sensitivity, it takes being able to read things and balance things out where you see there are imbalances, to lead her properly down a path that she may not even realize exists, that you've laid out in front of her, or you have laid it out there for her. This takes a lot more finesse, and it takes diligence, and it requires patience, because the mind alters so much more slowly. When we're talking in terms of, say, like behavioral conditioning and things of that nature, these things take shape over a long period of time. Okay. And so it's like, yeah, you can have a woman like give up her pussy for you in an evening, okay, upon first meeting her. But she's not going to give you her mind and her will and her emotions and her imagination in one evening. Maybe she'll let you borrow them for that moment, okay, but then she's going to snap right back to where she was, okay, having like total sovereignty and ownership and, autonomy with her own mind. And but to really come in there and start like, cracking through the layers and burrowing into her core, that takes time. You can't really force it to happen. And I imagine if you had some sort of abilities to do so, it would end up being destructive. There would be damage done psychologically. Okay. And I would imagine that, my people listening to this, you guys are all of, strong moral character, and you don't have, an impulse to be, fucking dark triad motherfuckers. So yeah, it's slow. But it's super rewarding, and like I said, if you're taking this angle of being more interested in a woman's mind, and I'm saying like from a more genuine core level, okay, this does not include where she vacationed last year, if she likes pets, if she's interested in having children, if she believes in God, any of that stuff. All of that stuff is just superfluous fodder. So when you say, I'm getting to know this woman, are you really getting to know her? Right? You're not. You're getting to know her avatar, if that makes sense. So like, this is my avatar. Justin, went to college, did some traveling. I've got kids. I own a motorcycle. I like to paint and draw, sometimes make music. I'm an atheist. It's like, I don't know. Like, does that really tell you anything about me? No, these are just the things that my avatar has developed. So when most guys say, oh, I'm trying to get to know her, and they're getting to know her avatar, and they think it's her, they think that he's really getting to know her by sitting down and chit-chatting about where she went to college and what she studied and oh, haha, let's tell funny stories. Okay. I mean, it's a fun way to connect or whatever, but it's very surface level. It really doesn't provide any sort of true value. Okay. And this is why I challenge guys not to, ask stupid questions, when you're out on a date. I get into that in the book that I'm writing right now, about leading and guiding her through commands. Because if you do want to be influential, you have to be comfortable with giving commands. You do. And this is how you can seek her mind. You seek her mind, well, partially through the comfort and trust in yourself to give commands. And they can be very small to very big. And I've gone through a number of them already. I've mentioned if you're being out, a classic one for me to bring up is you excuse yourself to use the restroom. You'd say, hey, I'm going to go to the restroom right now. Order me this drink, get yourself whatever. And then when you come back, the drinks are there, right? That's a sign that she's willing to, take some instruction. But it's a very easy thing for you to do as well, because you have to get used to just giving simple commands. And then once you're comfortable with this, without asking permission or without asking her to do something, but telling her, you develop this trust in yourself. You develop the comfort in yourself in order to do these things. And then when you move into heavier stuff, heavier instruction, heavier influence, you move into the bedroom and you're giving instructions there. You've already become comfortable with your role as the instruction giver, as the commander. All right. And so you build up this over time. So you're doing this in two parts. Like as you do it, you're conditioning yourself to being okay and trusting yourself to give commands, and you're also warming her up to receiving commands. And this is something you really, really have to get used to if you're wanting to influence and impact a woman's mind, because through that you will be able to impact the rest of her body. It will be like a walk in the park. You won't even have to do much. You'll just be able to speak it into existence, basically, right? And the more you do this, the more you practice giving commands, the more relaxed you'll be. Just like with anything, right? The first time you rode a bicycle, you were probably scared as shit, all right? Really nervous. And then you just keep doing it again and again and again, and then you become comfortable, right? It's just like any other skill. Right? The only difference is that you're dealing with someone else's will. And so that means you have to challenge that part of you that's afraid of her saying no, or I don't want to do that, or why did you tell me to do that? And having to deal with those situations. Okay. What's up? I am not him. Nietzsche, he who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. Yeah, that's true. And I don't think that it's quite a bad thing to become a monster. I think that we all have monsters, and that we should embrace our monster. We should embrace our dark side. We get to know our darkness. And that's, part of the thing that BDSM taps into. It's not all of your darknesses, but some of them. And it allows us to commune with our dark side and get to know it, versus shunning it and saying, I don't want to be like you. I know you're bad. And just keeping this distance to a part of yourself, versus embracing it. And then, if you do have a strong urge, you can then learn to control it through, I guess, befriending it. And then you can give it time to play. I had he's still a client of mine, but he, at the beginning, had a very strong, what we would call the wolf. He had a very, very strong wolf inside him. And sometimes it would, he was afraid of it. He was afraid of his wolf, that it would come out and be destructive in his romantic dealings. And a couple of times he stepped his foot into it, a couple times where things just got out of hand and things didn't go well. And I think that comes from keeping the wolf at bay. Okay, because when you resist something, it becomes stronger. And then this isn't like very simple things, right? You say to a kid, don't open that box. They're going to be thinking about opening that damn box all day long, right? Especially if there's like pretty colors on it, right? Little fun drawings. You're like, don't open the box or you're going to be in trouble. They're going to be like walking past it back and forth, looking at it, maybe give a little shake to see what's there. They won't be able to help themselves. So, and then it'll get stronger and stronger the more you just kind of like let it there, but then push resistance against it. So in the same respect, I think that if you resist your wolf and never get to understand it and become one with it, that it'll just get stronger and stronger. And then in this guy's case, when he would let it out, it would just like rampage. And this is no way to be. Okay, we want to be in control at all times. As a dominant, you must be. You cannot afford to be out of control. Okay? This is where, you don't have control over your own mind. And the thing is that when you back to this quote, which is a very fine quote. Thank you, I am not him. When you are able to embrace your dark side, that's when you can gaze long into the abyss of yourself, and then it looks back at you, and it doesn't have to be anything to be feared anymore. You're comfortable in that place. So we're getting a little bit deep and metaphysical here, but this is just another example about how this game has nothing to do with women. This has nothing to do with getting women or pussy or orgasms or dating or marriage or any of that shit. It has everything to do with you. And so the interesting thing is that when you are seeking to learn how to influence a woman's mind, you inadvertently must learn to control yours. Because you cannot be erratic. You cannot be easily distracted. You can't have the brain of a fucking, squirrel, okay? And be influential over someone else's mind. You cannot be scattered. You have to be, at the very least, less scattered than them, okay? So, and the more distance between you put between those two states, scattered and unscattered, like I'm way over here in super stillness, okay? That sets up a power differential. And then this what allows woman to rest into your state of calm. Okay? Now it's not a state of calm that's passive. Okay? It's just you're unaffected. You're unmoved by anything that comes at you. All right? Anything you hear or see or experience, it does not move you. You're still. Okay, but it does not mean you're passive, all right? So just because you're still doesn't mean you are relieved of the responsibility of guiding and leading and having influence and giving commands, okay? So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. Okay, just switch up some of my music here. But yeah, there's, it's funny. Like Guy and we were talking, and the guy who was like into BDSM, and it was funny because just kind of like laughing to ourselves about how like so much is missed. You guys who are looking at, say, like a woman's body online or looking at pretty women out on the street or whatever, and being drawn towards that and not realizing while you're being drawn into that direction how much you're bypassing, and you don't realize how much you're bypassing, and what you could possibly experience if you weren't so easily influenced by a woman's appearance, by her ability to give you sexual pleasure. There's, it's just much more rewarding when you can see that development, when you can see those changes. But yeah, it's so I'll give you guys like a little sneak into a part of the book that I'm writing. And there's a section in there about explaining why women love the book 50 Shades of Grey and why women love the sense of domination. Okay, now of course it's not all women or whatever, but we have to be able to speak in generalities sometimes. But it's quite pervasive in amongst female fantasies is this 50 Shades of Grey, archetype. Okay, and that's what it is. It's an archetype. And it really stems all the way back to the story of Beauty and the Beast. Okay, what is this? So you have the Beast. He's this wealthy guy. He's huge. He's very physically strong. He's a monster, like literal monster. But how did the story go? He had a heart of gold, right? He was actually a prince, okay, or a lord or something like that. I don't remember. And the story goes that a, seemingly naive, sweet, nice girl gets brought into his world, right? I'm trying to remember the story. Does he capture her, or he lures her in, or she decides to go, or whatever? But she gets brought into his world. Okay, so now she's this passenger. Okay, again, taking away responsibility. I didn't choose to be here. I'm not after the Beast, right? He took me, right? Relieving her of this responsibility. And now he's brought me in, and now I'm under his control because he's so, he gets it without having to get anything. He just is the thing that I want him to get. He's this powerful force, and I'm getting this little glimpse that he has the heart of gold. And this is a major fantasy amongst women, of basically the alpha who can love. This is like the ultimate fantasy, the alpha who can love. And so it's basically like the Beast to everyone and the whole world. But to her, he shows this little sweet soft spot. He shows her that he's human, that he has a heart, that he has a gentle side to him. And she's going to be the one to bring it out. All right, so this is also part of the fantasy of all the women that the Beast could have taken, right? It's like they're going to be able to resist him. No, he's like this 400-pound, 10-foot tall monster, okay? No one's going to be able to resist him. So, of all the women that he could have taken, he chose her because she's special, okay? So that feeds into the fantasy as well. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm a little naive. I'm a good girl. And he thinks I'm special. And he's going to take me and pull me into his world where he is the master. He is the Beast. He is in control. He's vicious. And during that time, I can see this little glimpse of this gentle heart of gold. Maybe like a little twinge of pain, right? Because I think from the story, at least from the Disney version, there was something about, there was like a flower that was encased in glass, and it was something about the spell that was being held over him or something along those lines. I can't really remember. But it was like a symbol of his pain. Like there was some sort of pain in there. So now she's like, oh, this big, strong Beast, and he's so destructive and tough, but look at him. He's got a scar. He's got a scar in his heart. How sweet. Let me fix him. Let me just patch him up with my love. and my pussy. Right? And this plays into one of the most popularized themes in erotic literature. I mean, there's like thousands and thousands of stories written in this framework. Thousands. And basically it's been around for a long time. The writer of 50 Shades, who, by the way, knew nothing about BDSM when he wrote the book, or was it she? I'm sorry. The writer knew nothing about BDSM and took that framework of the Beauty and the Beast and then just marketed it very well, and it sold like crazy. And then tons of other books that are themed in a very similar way amongst erotic literature follow the same sort of pattern, the same archetypal framework, and those sold like crazy. All right, so just get on that cash bandwagon. And so what do we take from that? We take from that women, a large number of women, love this feeling of the archetype. Now, a lot of you guys who are surface level thinking, you're going to think, well, that means I have to be a beast. That means I got to be cold. I got to be strong. I got to be big. I got to be tough. And I have to be able to show her my gleaming little heart inside when the moment's right. So this whole story and her arousal and the fantasy can be lived in, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to be that. Okay? It's only being able to trigger the feelings that are associated with that fantasy. So the fantasy has these feelings, but those feelings are not, they're not locked to that fantasy. Those feelings can be generated in a multitude of different ways. That's what's important. That's what's important to understand. So you don't have to be the beast in order for her to feel the feelings that she gets from that particular fantasy of the beast. She can feel the feelings of being that naive girl who's going to save the beast or heal him without actually being in that role. Like, you don't have to be this tough guy with a scar on his heart in order for her to behave to make those puzzle pieces work out. That's not necessary. For her to feel those feelings that come from that fantasy. Okay? It's just important for you to know that this exists, that it's really, and it's pervasive. It's a huge, like basically like all those romance novels that I tell you guys to read. It's all in there. One that I just picked up, what is it called? Let me just pull up my other browser. Where the hell is it? So, where is this? Oh, it's called A Billion Wicked Thoughts. Okay. So this is something you should pick up. So I mentioned reading My Secret Garden. And like, it's a collection of like women's fantasies and things of that nature. This, I think, like, I've just started it, but I think this is more scientific to neuroscientists. So two neuroscientists did some research. It says here, informed by 18,000 interviews and bold insight from neuroscientists Sai Gautam and Oji Ogas. This groundbreaking study will likely rock many people's perceptions of what stimulates males and females. The surprising results not only demonstrate people's needs, but the needs of the people's mates as well. And I looked into this based on, just doing some research, because like, yes, I understand like women love to be dominated, but I was thinking like, why? Like, why is this so common that women like to be dominated? And in varying degrees. Like, some it's just like a little bit, sometimes it's just an emotional domination, and others, like, they literally want to be like locked in a cage that you've made that fits under your bed. Okay? Like, where does that come from? And, many studies have been done. It doesn't come from trauma. Like that's not like an underlying factor that's across the board. So you'll find women who like domination that have a very healthy upbringing, and then you find women who like domination who have a very unhealthy upbringing. So it's not needed for either. It's not trauma based. You think like, well, maybe it's genetic. Maybe it has to do with just generations of wanting a strong man to protect them. And guide them and lead them, and maybe a long time ago when we lived in little huts, and you're having a number of children, and there's no modern medicine, there's no indoor plumbing. You need a strong guy to just basically tell you what to do. But it's like, well, all right, that makes sense from a survival perspective, but how does that translate into arousal? Like, where does that come into play? Okay. Because women don't necessarily need to be aroused in order to procreate. So I don't know. I'm just very curious about this. So in my research and my digging around and things like that, I came across this book, and this writer he writes about, he's a sexologist. I can't remember the guy's name. I found him on Quora, and he mentioned this book. So I was like, all right, I'm going to check this out. So yeah, it's called A Billion Wicked Thoughts by Sai Gautam and Oji Ogas and Andrew Garman, who's I bought the audiobook. So Andrew Garman is the narrator. Sadly, narrators are going to be gone. Yeah, like this like vocal AI is becoming... It's becoming really, really good. I'm just reading some of these reviews here. Yeah, there's like the reviews are fantastic. So I'm looking forward to getting into this book. I just started it earlier today. So, but I understand, like, it's very scientific. Like, they talk about like a lot of studies and things like that. So if that's not your thing, whatever. But you nerds, it's growing more. It's growing more and more. I was talking about the rise of the intellectual incel. And as I was listening to this book, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about the rise of the intellectual incel and how this is going to kind of put them at a little bit of an advantage, because more and more guys are going to start understanding what's going on between men and women from a very scientific perspective. And, with knowledge is power. And so it might actually end up serving them very well. I don't know if it will gain them the interactions that they want, but at least they won't be taken to the cleaners anymore. And I think that's probably at least somewhat of a good thing. Empowerment Dynamo. Yeah, the two books was My Secret Garden, and that's not to be confused with The Secret Garden. It's My Secret Garden by, what's her name? Nancy Friday. It was published in 1973. And it's a number. She collected women's fantasies through letters and recordings and personal interviews. So it's a very interesting insight. Excuse me. But yeah, that's called My Secret Garden by Nancy Friday. Shit, what did I just do with my screen? Fucking hell. Where are you? God damn, I totally lost track of my screen. Where are we, StreamYard? Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I Am Not Him. Good BDSM romance source or topic heading to search out there that I can recommend. Romance, like in terms of books, I don't really read BDSM novels in that sense. I'm more into the psychology and, understanding that shit. But there's a couple of really good ones. Let me just open up my Kindle, because I'm in the middle of like a couple of them right now. Mental Branding, Master Slave Unraveled. This is a good book. It's very well thought out. It's called Mental Branding, MS Unraveled, and it's a nonfiction manual into the world of master-mistress-slave relations and how it all works by Mort, Morte. So maybe he's French? Mort. Or is that Spanish? No, it's Muerto. So Mort, yeah, I think that's French. But that's a really good one. Let's see. Where's from my library? Let me see my library. Okay, so that one's really good. There's this other one. Oh, this one here. Yes, it's called A Psychological Approach to DS Relationships by Alexander M. Basil. That one's really good. Very good writer, very well thought out. The dude knows what he's talking about. And of course, I always mention The Heart of Dominance. If you do have a woman who is, interested in, her side of the slash, either being a submissive, or she's into domestic discipline, or is interested in having like the beginnings of polarity, just having some polarity and power differentials. Something you can get them is this book called Lessons in Submissive Speech. And let me see who that's by. I don't remember who the author is that either. Laura what? Carruthers. Yeah. Lessons in Submissive Speech, Learning the Art of Speaking Submissively by Luna, Luna, Carruthers, Carruthers. And she also has an Instagram called The Submissive Guide. She's a teacher for subs. Yeah, Mental Branding. I'm not him. Yep. An interesting title. But yeah, both of those books that I recommended, the mental ones, those are very, very psychological. So if you're into psychology or you're into this sort of thing, you're either resonating with or drawn to, my way of approaching these things. You will appreciate these books. They are, it's not like taking Psych 101, but it's very psychology heavy. And in my opinion, you can't go wrong with understanding dynamics of power from this angle, because it's all mental. It's all mental. Who is that? Like some famous artist, Wilde. What was his name? Alexander Wilde. I can't remember, but he said that everything is about sex except sex. Sex is about power. And I really, really believe that. Like everything we do is about sexuality, as like Freud would say. But sex is not about sex. Sex is absolutely about power. And the thing is that sex can, and I think should, start when you first interact with a woman. This is why asking stupid questions ruins things, right? It puts things on a platonic level. It puts things on this distance, interviewer, interviewee. I'm a non-threat. I'm just trying to get to know this bullshit information that I don't care about, and I don't care about, but we're going to pretend like this really matters. Like that sort of shit. Like that kills sexual arousal. Like kills sexual attraction. This is why, like, when my guys are, in this bad habit in dating and they're asking these questions, I ask them, what value are you getting out of that? How does that increase arousal? How does that increase the man-woman connection? What does that do for you? And like, well, I get to know, like, her background, and maybe I can use it to, like, tangent off into other topics or whatever. And even then, it's like, well, like, what are you doing? Like, do you work for the census? Do you work for the FBI? You need to, like, that's the only reason how you could use this information to your benefit, right? If you're like tracking her data, it's not going to help you at all. It's not going to increase that tension. It's not going to put seasoning on the sexual tension. You have to learn how to tap into her actual minds, not her fucking frontal cortex, where all that surface level shit is located. I think. I'm not a master of the brain, so don't quote me on that. I just like the psychology. But yeah, don't do any of that stuff. If you really need to, here's the thing: if you really want to know what her favorite vacation spot was for whatever fucking reason, instead of asking her, here's a little tip: instead of saying, "Hey, what was your favorite vacation spot last year?" Tell her to tell you. Say, tell me about your favorite vacation spot that you went to last year. Right? And this is actually a very easy way that you can transition into being comfortable with giving commands. So whatever question you have, just turn it into a statement. What is your favorite ice cream? Tell me your favorite ice cream. What do you like to do for fun? Tell me what you like to do for fun. It's really simple, just easy shift, but it does tremendous shifting in your mind. The wordplay is just a small shift, okay? But what that does in your mind and what that does in her mind are big shifts, because you're literally just giving her commands. Tell me, show me, right? Instead of, will you show me? Can you tell me? What is? How many? Right? It's just a small form of being that much more assertive, being that much more aggressive, right? Without being overt about it. And then as you get more and more comfortable, like I said, you get more and more comfortable with this this command giving. Then when you're in say romantic situations, and you enter the hotel room, and you walk in and you just look at it and you say, take off your clothes. And you can say this with just very calm but assertive calmness, right? And you walk in, take off your clothes, get on your knees. And the more you are comfortable with giving commands, and you work out this fear of like, oh my gosh, what if she says no? What if she Me Too's me? What if she does this, does that? Okay. The more comfortable you are in trusting yourself, in just being able to trust your own commands, then that fear is going to go away. That discomfort is going to go away. Okay. And it's not going to run you the way, it always has. It's not going to run you through. But, yeah. Oh, the other thing that's been going on, I got in touch with this guy named James Tusk. I don't know if you guys know him. I guess he's pretty big in England, like in like other areas, South America. He does a lot of traveling, but he's big as I guess with pickup artistry and, helping guys with dating and, getting women and, closing, that sort of thing. POA stuff, I think. I'm not completely certain of where that is. And he had a panel recently, so got to do that. And we're going to be doing another workshop. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Like if it'll be able to be kind of packaged and then sold afterwards, because people did pay to become, in part of the workshop. So if it is able to be like my lecture on there, like about power dynamics from, just like a very basic, like entry level, if that'll be able to be packaged and then just resold as like a, a short video. And then I'm doing another one about the benefits that both people can receive when power dynamics are brought into relationships. So if you're in a relationship and you're curious about, how could it benefit you, how it could benefit your woman, and you just don't know how to bring it up, you don't know how to bring this power differential into your everyday living with your woman, just get in touch with me. I'd be happy to talk with you about how to bring it up to your woman, or your man. I work with a number of women, and that's actually the more challenging thing. You'd be surprised, but there's a number of women that have contacted me looking for help, and they have, they've been together for a while, or they're married, and they're tired of what they have. They've been in like this like egalitarian. They've been in an egalitarian relationship, and they don't want to, they don't want to have that anymore. They want to experience the big gap. Okay, they want to, they want to experience that big gap between them and their man. Okay, and I don't blame them. I really don't. I don't blame them at all. But the thing is that they can't bring this up to their men, which is really, really interesting, because when they try to bring it up to their men, then the guys take it as like a huge offense. Like they get really offended when, their woman says, hey, can we do this? But you think that he'd want to, right? Like imagine you're in this egalitarian, boring relationship with this woman for a long time, and she's like, I want to get into my knees and say a morning affirmation to you every single day. And when you come home from work, I want us to have a nice ritual that makes me feel submissive and makes you feel more dominant. And I'd like to go to a sex store with you and buy all kinds of fun play toys. And I want you to use them and experiment on them with me. And like, let's set up a bunch of rules where I can learn and grow, and things that I can do and things that I can't do. And let's work on building, a protocol where there's punishments involved and rewards. And you'd think that if a woman were to come to the man with something like that, with enthusiasm, he'd be like, hell yeah, let's do that. That sounds like so much fun. And my God, is that hot. Okay. But it doesn't happen. These guys get offended. Their pride gets bruised because they think, oh, great, I'm not enough. And it's like, you idiot. You idiot, you egotistical idiot. You're so wrapped up in your pride that you can't see that this woman says, I want you to take me further than you've taken me. Please take me. I'm giving you 100% permission. And they're like, no, that makes me feel awkward. That makes me feel like shit. That makes me think that I haven't been enough for you and you need more. I'm not satisfying you. And boo-hoo, my ego is now bruised. Somebody come wipe my nose. And so it's actually really difficult when I have working with a woman who's in a relationship or who's married. And this is super common. This happens across the board with women who are married and in relationships. It's easier when it's just when the couple comes to me and they say, hey, we talked about this, we want to kind of build this thing. I'm like, all right, great. But with these guys, you'd think that they would love it, but they freaking don't. It really blows my mind. Oh, what's up, King Zay? Good to see you, man. Yeah, the women seem to be much more open-minded with this, and that really goes back to the title, right? About seeking her mind. When I first started, for you guys who are here since the beginning of the show, there's oh shit, hold on 1 second. All right, sorry, I just had to say goodnight. So it goes back to what I was talking about in the very beginning, when I was talking about how we have no clue the vastness of women's imaginations and where their emotions can take them. And they do this on their own. They can purely do this on their own and put themselves in totally different realms and having all kinds of crazy experiences. You would not fucking believe the shit that's inside women's heads. I think guys' balls would shrivel into raisins and then just pop up into their pelvis if they were to hear the real shit that goes on inside women's heads as far as like sexuality goes. You would not believe. And not only where it goes, but how often. Like how often they're in their heads about this sort of shit. Okay? But due to just always thinking about these things and fantasizing and imagining and playing around in their head, to King Zay's point, the women are more open-minded because they've thought about it so much. Okay? And partially this is why guys are closed-minded. One, it's their pride, right? Because guys are so latched onto the idea of being the hero and having to be perfect and having to be the guy that no other guy is better than, that she's ever been with. Okay? If you can get past that as a dude, this will help you out tremendously. Okay? As far as like your own growth and your ability to affect a woman deeply. Okay? Not only that, is you have to expand your mind. And this is why I'm suggesting books. This is why I'm suggesting you guys read romance novels. I suggest getting into some of the books that I had mentioned. And if you can, get into casual conversation with women about their fantasies. If you have somebody that, a woman that you're very cool with and you can just talk openly with, get to understand like where things go. And she probably will only tell you a tiny bit, because as close as you are, she's not going to tell you everything. She's going to hold some things to herself because she's like, this is too fucking twisted for me to reveal to anybody. So, there's a couple of things that my woman won't even tell me. She's like, she's still embarrassed by it. That doesn't mean she won't ever, but at this juncture, she's got a couple of fantasies. She's like, no, I can't tell you. And that's cute. I like that. It's like when you're there, you don't take any of this shit personally. And that's the thing. It's like, when you're not locked in with your pride, you really don't take any of this shit personally. You're just like, all right, and you can appreciate so much more. And the more you appreciate the wildness and the vastness and even the chaos of a woman's mind, because they all come together. You can't have the wild imagination without the chaos. Like they kind of feed each other. Okay. Like once you learn to appreciate these things at the same time while learning to manage your pride and your ego, that's when you start getting more out of your situations. That's when you really start expanding. You start expanding your relationships. You start expanding your experiences. because your mind is now opening, and through that, and you relaxing your pride, relaxing your defensive ego, relaxing your judgments, this allows her to open more. And the more she opens, the greater your experience will be, the greater experience will be for her. And, and you take more heed to her mind than her pussy. It's just night and day. Like, they just cannot be compared. They really cannot be compared. Like, you guys are chasing box, you're chasing the wrong damn thing. The wrong thing. The more I grow and discover with myself, the more accepting I am about life and the people in it. Yeah. And that's on the macro and the micro. So, you're talking about the macro. It happens in the micro too. So in your relationships with yourself, and so that's like the micro, and then the micro of the intimate relationships you have with other women, that becomes more accepting too. So it's like when judgments start fading away and you just start accepting, that's when you can really see what they are and then more easily bring them to new places. Like, judgment will stop up anything. If you have fixed perspectives of like, no, you can't be like that, or you shouldn't be like that, or I don't like it because you're that way, then your judgments are stopping growth. Because let's say whatever that isn't healthy for the relationship, fine, okay? But if you're judging it, it stops these things from moving. Without the judgment, you can then explore. You can start easing your way into what those problem areas are and start peeling off the layers and finding out where the true motivations lie. And then you can start training and coaching through that so that behavior no longer has to exist. And now you're helping her free up this sort of thing. And now she's growing through your influence. And guys who don't get it, they're going to say, you sound like you're simping. And I would say, you sound like someone who has not enough experience with women to understand the true amount of impact that you can have. Like, you can really, really impact the way these women see themselves and experience themselves through you. And when I say through you, that's no small matter, because you then become a source. You become this anchor or this conduit, okay? Like a lightning rod, all right? You become that lightning rod where the lightning's all chaotic, right? It has no real shape to it. It's a chaotic shape. And then boom, it hits that lightning rod and it becomes straight, okay? This is how you can be. You can be that lightning rod, all right? And it's like, yeah, I know there's some guys who are like, yeah, fuck that shit. I just want to bang chicks and be done with it. I don't want this serious, mental growth, whatever. Fuck them. And to those guys, fine. I don't really care. As long as you're not hurting people, I'm fine with your life choices, but for the vast majority of dudes, that's not your life. You try to convince yourself that that's the cool way to be because your pride wants you to feel like a player. But most guys, they just want one woman. They just want one woman and a good, solid, growth-minded relationship. Okay? That's where most guys are. And it's like, if you really want that to be something that you can be proud of, okay, that she can look at as something to be proud of, you have to learn how to be that lightning rod and learn how to lead. And, like I said before, if your head is full of judgments, you're never going to get there, because she will never trust you if you're full of judgments. And this is the case with anything. Like, you're dealing with any person, okay? Say like just, one of your mates. If you're judgmental of his choices, he's going to be less trusting of you, because he's going to be like, man, this guy's a dick. And he's going to put distance between the two of you, okay? And he's going to be reticent with the information that he gives you about his life and the things that he's doing and his choices. Okay. With the less judgment, people just tend to open up to you. And because you don't have an opinion about anything. So they're like, okay. And they just let it all out. And they're like, well, what do you think? Okay. What should I do? And now they're looking to you for guidance. You don't even have to solicit guidance. I mean, until they say, will you give me advice on this thing? Or, when the woman says, I would like for you to guide me and lead me. So, well, I hope, we've gone about an hour and a half here. That's 30 minutes longer than I intended to, but I had a lot on my mind. So again, if this show has brought you value, please take a walk over to my website, thedominanceacademy.com. Download any number of my ebooks that I have available on there. You can sign up for coaching. I've got coaching calls if that's what you need. If you just have a question, you can email me at justin@thedominanceacademy.com. Those questions are free of charge. And your first consultation with me is also free. So if you just want to just shoot the shit with me, you can get in touch. We'll set up a time, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I'll make time, and we can just chop it up for about an hour. And if you need any more guidance beyond that, we've got options for you. So thank you for coming here on the live. For those of you who are catching this on the replay, I appreciate you as well. Let's keep sharing things. If you find value in this, just share it with one person. Okay. Say one of your buddies, hey, check out this video if you think that they could benefit from it. Okay. Share it with your friends, share it with a family member. That would be greatly appreciated. And it'll help me continue going forward with this material and, and helping people grow, because I'm learning that, even coaches now are coming to me and saying, hey, can I learn from you? So this is giving me indication that it's information that's not out there and in wide variety. Okay. That's easily accessible. So this is what I want to do. I want to keep bringing this to masses and, for those that qualify and, help guys develop into stronger relationships with their women. So you can have a situation that you're both very proud of. And that if you wanted to start a family, you could just easily just blend that right into your system that you've created with your woman. And it would just be a cinch. Okay. This is what I want to see. All right, guys. Yeah. Thanks for joining me. And we will catch you on the next one. Until next time. Peace.